The doorbell rang at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, which was unusual enough to make me look up from my laptop. We weren't expecting anyone, and our neighborhood in suburban Denver wasn't the kind of place where people dropped by unannounced. "I'll get it," my husband Ryan called from the kitchen, where he'd been loading the dishwasher. I heard the front door open, then an exclamation of surprise, and the sound of enthusiastic male voices. Curious, I set aside my work, legal briefs that I'd been reviewing for tomorrow's case, and walked to the foyer. Ryan was hugging a man I'd never seen before. Tall, maybe 6'1", with sandy brown hair and the kind of easy smile that probably got him out of traffic tickets. He was wearing jeans and a worn leather jacket, a duffel bag at his feet. "Lena!" Ryan turned to me, his face lit up with excitement. "This is Jake Morrison, my college roommate. Remember I've told you about him?" I did remember. Ryan talked about his college days at Boulder occasionally, and Jake's name came up frequently in those stories. The roommate who'd helped him through organic chemistry, the friend who'd convinced him to try snowboarding, the best man at our wedding, except he'd been traveling abroad and couldn't make it. "Jake, this is my wife, Lena." "It's great to finally meet you," Jake said, extending his hand. His grip was firm, confident. "Ryan's told me so much about you, the brilliant attorney who makes partner before she's 35. "I'm only 33, so fingers crossed," I said, smiling despite my confusion about why he was here. "Ryan's told me stories about you too. It's nice to put a face to the name." "Sorry to drop in like this," Jake said, looking sheepish. "I should have called first. I've been staying with my sister in Colorado Springs, but she's got some family stuff happening and asked if I could give her space for a few days. I remembered Ryan mentioning you guys lived in Denver and thought I'd take a chance." "Of course. You're always welcome here," Ryan said immediately, before I could process what was happening. "How long do you need to stay?" "Just a few days, maybe a week. I'm actually interviewing for jobs in the area. Been sending out applications like crazy." "Stay as long as you need, man. Seriously." Ryan picked up Jake's duffel bag. "Lena, that's okay with you, right?" What was I supposed to say? No, your best friend from college can't stay for a few days? That would make me look like a monster. "Of course," I heard myself say. "Any friend of Ryan's is welcome here." "I really appreciate this," Jake said. "I promise I'll be out of your hair soon. Just need to land one of these interviews." Ryan led Jake upstairs to the guest room, and I could hear them talking and laughing, their voices fading as they disappeared down the hallway. I stood in the foyer for a moment, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling that had settled in my chest. It wasn't that I didn't trust Ryan. We'd been married for 7 years, together for 10 years. He'd never given me reason to doubt him. But something about the way he'd immediately offered our home to Jake, without even glancing at me to see if I was okay with it, bothered me. I went back to my legal briefs, trying to focus, but I could hear Ryan and Jake upstairs, their voices animated as they caught up. They were laughing about something that happened in their sophomore year, some prank involving their RA and a bucket of water balloons. It was after 11 when Ryan finally came to bed. "Sorry about that," he said, sliding under the covers. We got caught up reminiscing. I haven't seen Jake in like 3 years. "It's fine. He seems nice. He's a great guy. We were really close in college. I'm glad he reached out." "What's his job situation?" I asked. "What field is he in?" "Marketing, I think. Or maybe it's PR. He's been freelancing for a while but wants something more stable." "And he's staying with us for how long?" "He said a few days, week at most, just until he figures out his next move." A few days turned into a week turned into 2 weeks, 2 weeks became a month, and suddenly Jake Morrison was a permanent fixture in our house. At first, it was fine. Jake was considerate. He did his own laundry, cleaned up after himself, even cooked dinner a few times. He was funny and charming, always had interesting stories to tell over dinner. He and Ryan fell back into an easy friendship, like no time had passed since college. But as the weeks went on, I started noticing things. Jake wasn't job hunting. Not really. He'd mentioned sending out applications occasionally, but he never seemed to have actual interviews. He slept late, spent his days on his laptop doing who knows what, and was always available when Ryan got home from work. They'd spend hours together in the evenings, watching sports, playing video games, talking about the old days. I started feeling like a third wheel in my own home. "Don't you think Jake should be spending more time looking for work?" I asked Ryan one night, after Jake had been with us for 6 weeks. "He's looking. He mentioned sending out like 10 applications this week." "Has he had any interviews?" "I don't know. Why are you keeping track?" "I'm just wondering when he's planning to move out. Ryan, he's been here almost 2 months." "I know, but he's my friend, Lena. I can't just kick him out when he's down on his luck." "I'm not saying kick him out. I'm saying maybe we should have a conversation about a timeline. It was supposed to be a few days. He'll leave when he's ready. Why are you being so harsh about this?" "I'm not being harsh. I'm being practical. We gave up our guest room for him. We can't have friends or family visit. And honestly, I feel like I barely see you anymore. You're always with Jake." "That's not true." "It is true. You come home from work and immediately go find Jake. You guys watch sports every night. Last weekend, you spent the entire Saturday helping him set up his new laptop instead of going to my firm's picnic like we'd planned." Ryan's face flushed. "I told you I forgot about the picnic." "You forgot because Jake is more important than your wife." "Now you're just being dramatic." We went to bed angry that night, lying on opposite sides of the mattress with a wall of tension between us. It was around the 3-month mark when things started to feel genuinely wrong. Ryan had always been affectionate, the kind of husband who'd kiss me goodbye in the morning and hello when he came home from work. But that had stopped. He'd come home, greet Jake enthusiastically, and barely acknowledge my presence. They had inside jokes I didn't understand, references to things that had happened in college or apparently during the 3 years since when they'd kept in touch more than I'd realized. And they were always together. Always. "Want to watch a movie tonight?" I asked Ryan one Friday evening. Jake and I were going to watch the game. "Can't Jake watch the game by himself?" "Lena, don't be like that." "Like what? Like a wife who wants to spend time with her husband?" "You can watch the game with us." But I didn't want to watch the game with them. I wanted time alone with my husband, and it seemed impossible to get. I started working later at the office, finding excuses to stay away from home. When I did come home, I'd hear them laughing in the living room or den, completely absorbed in their own world. One night I came home at 9 to find them making homemade pizza together. Flour everywhere, both of them laughing hysterically about something. The kitchen was a disaster, and neither of them seemed to care. "Oh, hey, babe," Ryan said when he noticed me. "Want some pizza? We made extra." "No, thanks. I ate at the office." "You're working too much," Jake said, like he had any right to comment on my work habits. "Someone has to," I said, more sharply than I intended. I went upstairs to our bedroom and closed the door, trying not to cry. This was my house, my marriage, and somehow Jake Morrison had inserted himself into it so thoroughly that I felt like the outsider. Around midnight, Ryan finally came to bed. "You were rude to Jake tonight." "I was rude? Ryan, I came home to find you two playing house in our kitchen while I'd been working a 12-hour day." "We were just making dinner." "You could have made dinner with me, your wife. Remember me?" "You're overreacting." "Am I? When's the last time we had a conversation that didn't involve Jake? When's the last time we had sex?" Ryan was quiet. "It's been 3 weeks," I said. 3 weeks since you've touched me, but you spend every evening with Jake. That's not fair." "What's not fair is having a permanent house guest who's destroying our marriage." "He's not destroying our marriage. You're being jealous and paranoid." "I'm being jealous? Of your college roommate?" "Apparently." "You know what? Fine. Enjoy your bromance. I'm sleeping in the guest room." "Lena, Jake's in the guest room." "Then where am I supposed to sleep?" "I don't know, Ryan. Figure it out with Jake."
I grabbed my pillow and went downstairs to the couch, lying there in the dark and wondering how my marriage had become this. The next morning, I woke up to find Jake in the kitchen making coffee. "Hey," he said when he saw me. "Coffee?" "Sure, thanks." He poured me a cup and we sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then Jake said, "I'm sorry if I'm causing problems between you and Ryan." "It's not your fault." "It kind of is, though. I've been here way longer than I said I would. I should have found a place by now." "Why haven't you?" Jake was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly, because I'm broke. The job market is terrible and freelance work dried up months ago. I'm barely scrapping by and I can't afford first month's rent and deposit on an apartment." "So you're staying here indefinitely?" "No, I mean, I don't want to, but I don't have anywhere else to go." I felt a pang of sympathy despite my frustration. "Look, I get that you're in a tough spot, but Jake, you need to actually job hunt. Like, seriously hunt. Because whatever's happening between you and Ryan, it's hurting my marriage."
Jake looked up sharply. "What's happening between me and Ryan? We're just friends." Friends who spend every waking moment together. Friends who have their own little world that doesn't include me. I didn't realize. I mean, Ryan hasn't said anything. Of course he hasn't. He's oblivious. But I'm telling you, this can't continue. So either you need to find a job and move out, or I need to have a serious conversation with Ryan about our marriage. I'll try harder, I promise. I don't want to mess things up for you guys. But I had a sinking feeling it was already too late for that. Things came to a head about 2 weeks later. I'd been working late again. A big case was going to trial, and I was buried in prep work. I came home around midnight, exhausted, just wanting to fall into bed. The house was dark and quiet. I assumed both Ryan and Jake were asleep. I went upstairs quietly, not wanting to wake Ryan. As I passed the guest room, Jake's room, I noticed the door was slightly ajar. Light was spilling out into the hallway. I was going to just keep walking to my bedroom when I heard voices. Low voices, speaking quietly but urgently. I stopped, my hand on our bedroom doorknob. "Can't keep doing this," someone was saying. "Jake," I thought. I know. That was definitely Ryan. "But I don't know how to stop." "You need to tell her." "I can't. Not yet. She doesn't understand." "She deserves to know the truth." The truth would destroy everything. My heart was pounding. I stood frozen in the hallway, trying to make sense of what I was hearing. "Ryan, you can't live like this forever. Eventually, she's going to figure it out. I'll deal with it when I have to. For now, can we just have this?" There was silence. Then I heard something that made my blood run cold, a sound that could only be described as intimate, a sigh, a murmur, the rustle of movement. I pushed open our bedroom door and walked inside, closing it behind me as quietly as possible. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn the lock. What had I just heard? What was happening in that guest room? I wanted to burst in there and demand answers, but part of me was terrified of what I might find. Instead, I sat on the edge of our bed in the dark and tried to breathe, tried to think, tried to understand what was happening in my own house. Around 2 a.m., I heard our bedroom door open quietly. Ryan slipped in, moving carefully like he thought I was asleep. But I was sitting up in bed with the light on. "Lena!" He froze when he saw me. "I thought you were asleep." "Where were you?" I couldn't sleep. I was in the guest room talking to Jake." "At 2 a.m.? We were just talking. About what? Just stuff. Life, work, you know. No, I don't know. Why don't you explain it to me? Lena, you're making a big deal out of nothing. Stop lying to me. My voice rose, and I didn't care anymore if Jake heard. Something is happening between you two, and I deserve to know what it is. Ryan sat down on the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. For a long moment, he was silent. Then, quietly, Jake and I were together in college for 2 years. The words hung in the air like smoke. Together? I repeated, as in we were dating. We were in a relationship. You dated a man? In college? Yes. And you never thought to mention this. In 10 years of being together. It was in the past. It didn't seem relevant. Not relevant. Ryan, your ex-boyfriend has been living in our house for 3 months, and you didn't think I should know that? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you invited your ex to move in with us and have been spending every evening rekindling your relationship while I'm at work. We're not rekindling anything. We're just friends now. I don't believe you. It's the truth, Lena. Jake and I broke up after college. We both went our separate ways. I met you. I fell in love with you. I married you. What Jake and I had was a long time ago. Then why is he here? Why did you invite him to stay? Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Because he needed help, and because he's important to me. He was a huge part of my life. Was he the person you lost your virginity to? Yes. Was he your first love? Yes. Each answer felt like a knife to the chest. And you never thought I should know any of this? It was private. My past. It had nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me. Your ex-boyfriend is living in our house. You've been spending every evening with him. You barely touch me anymore. How is this not about me? You're overreacting. Get out. What? Get out of this room. Go sleep in the guest room with Jake, since that's apparently where you'd rather be anyway. Lena! Now, Ryan, get out. He left, and I locked the door behind him. Then I sat on my bed and cried until I couldn't cry anymore. The next morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. I couldn't face the office, couldn't pretend everything was normal. I stayed in our bedroom until I heard Ryan leave for work. Then I waited another hour to make sure Jake was also gone, wherever he went during the days. Finally, I emerged and went downstairs. The house felt different now, tainted by the knowledge of what had been happening under my own roof. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, trying to decide what to do. My phone rang. My best friend, Marissa. Hey, I answered. You sound terrible. What's wrong? And I told her everything. The whole story. Jake moving in, Ryan's behavior, the conversation I'd overheard, the revelation that they'd been together in college. Holy shit, Marissa breathed when I finished. Lena, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to do. Do I kick Jake out? Do I leave? Do I try to work through this? What do you want to do? I want my husband back. I want the marriage I thought I had. But I don't know if that's even possible anymore. Have you talked to Ryan? Really talked, not just fought. No, I kicked him out of our bedroom last night.
Okay, so tonight you need to have a real conversation. Tell him how you feel. Figure out what he wants. Figure out if this marriage can be saved. what if he chooses Jake? Then at least you'll know. But Lena, you can't keep living like this. You're miserable. She was right. I was miserable, and I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. That evening, when Ryan came home, I was waiting in the living room. "We need to talk," I said. "Really talk. Not fight, not accuse, just talk." Ryan nodded and sat down across from me. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. "I'm sorry," he started, "for not telling you about Jake. You're right. You deserve to know. Thank you for saying that. But Ryan, I need to understand what's happening here. Are you in love with him?" "No, I love you. I married you because I love you." "But you loved him once?" "Yes, a long time ago." "And having him here, living with us, spending all this time together, it hasn't brought back any of those feelings?" Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Too long. "I don't know," he finally admitted. "Being around Jake again, it's been confusing. He reminds me of a time in my life when things were simpler, when I felt more free." "From what?" "From expectations, from responsibility, from having to be the perfect husband and son and employee. With Jake, I could just be." "And you can't be yourself with me?" "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean, Ryan? Because it sounds like you're saying your marriage to me feels like a burden." "No, God, no. Lena, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. But lately, with work stress and life stress, I've been feeling overwhelmed. And having Jake here, reminiscing about college, it's been an escape from all that." "An escape from me?" "An escape from adulthood, maybe, not from you." I took a deep breath. "I need you to be honest with me, completely honest. Have you been physical with Jake since he moved in?" "No, I swear, we haven't done anything." "But you want to." Ryan looked at me, and I saw the truth in his eyes before he even spoke. "I don't know. Maybe. Sometimes I think about it. But I haven't acted on it. Yet. I'm not going to." "How can I believe that? How can I trust you when you've been lying to me for 3 months? I haven't been lying. You lied by omission. You let your ex-boyfriend move into our house and didn't tell me you'd been in a relationship with him. That's lying, Ryan." He didn't have a response to that. "Jake needs to leave," I said firmly. "Tomorrow. I don't care where he goes, but he can't stay here anymore. He has nowhere to go. That's not my problem, and frankly, it shouldn't be yours either. He's a grown man. He can figure it out. Lena, this is non-negotiable. Either Jake leaves or I do. You choose. You're giving me an ultimatum?" "Yes, because I shouldn't have to compete with your ex-boyfriend for your attention. I'm your wife, Ryan. I should come first." "You do come first. Then prove it. Tell Jake he needs to leave." We sat in tense silence for what felt like forever. Then Ryan said, "Okay, I'll tell him tonight." But even as he said it, I wasn't sure I believed him.
Jake didn't leave that night, or the next day, or the day after that. "He needs time to find a place," Ryan explained when I asked why Jake was still in our guest room 3 days after our ultimatum conversation. "He's had 3 months to find a place. He needs money for a deposit. I'm going to lend him some." "You're giving him money now?" "Lending. He'll pay me back when he gets a job." "Ryan, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're prioritizing him over us." "I'm helping a friend." "He's not just a friend, he's your ex, and you're choosing him." "I'm not choosing anyone. Why do you keep making this a competition?" "Because it feels like one, and I'm losing." We were fighting constantly now, about Jake, about money, about everything. The tension in the house was suffocating. And through it all, Jake remained, like a ghost haunting our marriage. I started documenting things in my phone, times when Ryan chose to spend time with Jake instead of me,
conversations I'd overheard, the way they'd look at each other when they thought I wasn't watching. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this information. Maybe I was building a case for divorce. Maybe I just needed to prove to myself that I wasn't going crazy. 2 weeks after my ultimatum, I came home from work early. I'd left the file at home that I needed for a client meeting, and I was rushed and distracted as I unlocked the front door. The house was quiet. Ryan was still at work. Jake's car was in the driveway, so he was home. I went upstairs to retrieve the file from my home office. As I walked down the hallway, I heard music coming from the guest room. The door was slightly open. I should have kept walking, should have grabbed my file and left. But something made me pause, made me look. Through the crack in the door, I could see Jake. He was sitting on the bed, laptop open, but he wasn't working. He was looking at photos on his phone, smiling at something. Then he switched to what looked like text messages. His smile faded, replaced by something more serious. He typed something, waited, then smiled again when a response came through. I was about to leave when I heard him say, "I know, I miss you too." He was on a phone call. I hadn't realized he'd switched from texting. "No, I can't do that yet. It's complicated because Ryan's not ready. I know what we plan, but things have changed. She's not going to just accept this." My heart stopped. Look, I love him. I've always loved him, but he's married and she's not making this easy. I know we have a plan. I'm working on it. Just give me more time. I backed away from the door quietly, my mind racing. What plan? What had they been plotting? I went to my office, grabbed the file with shaking hands, and left the house. In my car, I sat in the driveway trying to process what I'd just heard. Jake was in love with Ryan. They had a plan. A plan to do what exactly? I drove to the office in a daze, went through my meeting on autopilot, and then sat in my car in the parking garage for an hour trying to decide what to do. Finally, I called Marissa. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." "Okay. Do you think Ryan is gay?" Marissa was quiet for a moment. "Why are you asking me that?" "Because I'm starting to wonder if my entire marriage has been a lie. If Ryan married me to hide who he really is." "Lena, lots of people are bisexual. Even if Ryan has feelings for Jake, that doesn't mean his feelings for you aren't real." "But what if they're not? What if he's been lying to himself and to me? Then that's something you need to talk to him about. But you can't keep torturing yourself with speculation. Jake is in love with Ryan. They have some kind of plan. I heard Jake on the phone talking about it." "What kind of plan?" "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." After work, instead of going home, I went to a coffee shop and opened my laptop. I created a fake email address and sent a message to Jake from it. "Hi, Jake. I saw your profile on LinkedIn. I'm with a marketing firm in Denver, and we're looking for someone with your skill set. Would you be available for an interview next week?" It was a long shot, but I needed to know if Jake was actually job hunting or if that was just another lie.
Within 20 minutes, I had a response. "Thanks so much for reaching out. I'm definitely interested. However, I should mention that I'm currently in a situation where I might not be available long term. Would you be open to discussing contract work instead?" So Jake wasn't planning to stay in Denver. He was planning something else. I went home that evening with a plan of my own. "Ryan, I want to see your phone," I said after dinner. We were in the kitchen. Jake had conveniently disappeared to his room. "What? Why?" "Because I don't trust you anymore, and I need to know what's really going on." "Lena, that's an invasion of privacy. You've been lying to me for months. You don't get to talk to me about privacy." "I haven't been lying." "Then show me your phone. If there's nothing to hide, it shouldn't be a problem." Ryan pulled his phone from his pocket but held it protectively. "This is ridiculous." Show me, or I'm calling a divorce attorney tomorrow." He stared at me for a long moment, then unlocked his phone and handed it over. I opened his messages first. The thread with Jake was long, full of inside jokes and casual conversation. Nothing overtly romantic, but intimate in a way that bothered me. Then I scrolled back further and found older messages from before he'd moved in. "I miss you. I think about you all the time." Jake, 3 months before he'd shown up at our door. "I miss you too. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd stayed together." Ryan, "It's not too late. We could still have that life." Jake, "I'm married, Jake." Ryan, "So, people get divorced. If you're not happy," Jake, "It's not that simple, but I think about it." Ryan, I looked up at Ryan. "You've been thinking about leaving me? For 3 months before Jake even moved in? It's not what it looks like. Then what is it? Because it looks like you and Jake have been planning this. Planning for him to move in, planning for you to leave me. We weren't planning anything. We were just talking. You told him you think about being with him. In a hypothetical way. Lena, everyone thinks about what if sometimes. That doesn't mean I was actually going to leave you. But you wanted to." Ryan was silent. "Say it. If you want to be with Jake, just say it. Stop torturing me with all this ambiguity. I don't know what I want. That's not good enough. It's the truth. I love you, Lena, I do. But I also have feelings for Jake, and I don't know how to reconcile those two things. You can't have both of us. I know. So choose. Why do I have to choose right now? Because I'm not going to keep living like this. I'm not going to be in a marriage where my husband is in love with someone else. I never said I was in love with him. You didn't have to. It's written all over your face every time you look at him. You light up when he walks into a room. You laugh at all his jokes. You spend every free moment with him. How am I supposed to compete with that? You're not competing. Yes, I am, and I'm losing. So either you choose our marriage or you choose Jake, but you have to choose. Tonight." Ryan looked at me with tears in his eyes. "I need time. You've had 3 months. That's not enough. It has to be, because I'm done, Ryan. I'm done being second choice. I'm done sharing you. So make your choice, him or me." We stood in the kitchen, staring at each other. Then Ryan said quietly, "I can't." "You can't choose?" "No."
"Then you've made your choice. You've chosen him." "That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Pack your bags, Ryan. I want you out of my house." "This is my house, too." "Then I'll leave. But I'm not staying in a marriage where I'm competing with your boyfriend." I grabbed my purse and keys and walked out, leaving Ryan standing in the kitchen looking shell-shocked. I drove to Marissa's house and collapsed on her couch in tears. "He couldn't choose," I told her through sobs. "I gave him an ultimatum and he couldn't choose." "Oh, honey," Marissa hugged me. "I'm so sorry." "What does that mean? If he can't choose, does that mean he doesn't love me? Or does it mean he loves us both?" "I don't know. But what it definitely means is that he's not ready to commit to your marriage. And you deserve better than that." "I don't know if I can leave him." "You don't have to decide everything tonight. Stay here, get some space, figure out what you want." I stayed at Marissa's for 3 days. Ryan called and texted constantly, but I ignored him. I needed time to think without him clouding my judgment. On the 3rd day, Jake called me. "Lena, can we talk, please? I have nothing to say to you." "I know, but I have things to say to you. Please, just hear me out." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near Marissa's house. He was already there when I arrived, looking nervous and guilty. "Thank you for coming," he said as I sat down. "I have 10 minutes. Okay, first, I want to apologize for everything. I never should have accepted Ryan's offer to stay. I knew it was going to cause problems, but I was desperate and selfish. Okay? Second, I need you to know the truth about Ryan and me. I know the truth. You dated in college. You're still in love with him. Yes, but there's more. We didn't just date in college. We planned to build a life together. We talked about moving to California, getting an apartment, being together openly. But then Ryan's parents found out. I hadn't known that part. They threatened to cut him off completely, to disown him. Ryan's dad is super conservative, super Catholic. He told Ryan that if he chose to be with a man, he'd lose his family, his inheritance, everything. So Ryan chose to hide. He chose to survive. He was 22, about to graduate with student loans and no job lined up. He couldn't afford to lose his family's financial support, so we broke up. Ryan went back in the closet. And I understood why, even though it broke my heart. And then he met you. Yeah, he met me. And I think he genuinely fell in love with you. But I also think... Jake paused. He chose you because you represented the life his parents wanted for him. The safe, acceptable life. So our entire marriage is based on him hiding who he really is? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe he really is bisexual and he really does love you. People are complicated. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know the whole story. And because I'm leaving. What? I'm leaving Denver tomorrow. I have a job offer in Seattle. I took it. You've had a job offer this whole time? I got it 2 months ago, but I didn't take it because I was hoping... He trailed off. I was hoping Ryan would choose me, choose us. But he can't, or won't. And I need to accept that and move on. Have you told Ryan? Not yet. I'm going to tell him tonight. I wanted to talk to you first. Why? Because I need you to know that I'm not trying to steal your husband. I love him, and I probably always will. But he's yours. He chose you 7 years ago when he married you. And even if he has feelings for me, he's not leaving you. So I'm removing myself from the equation. That's very noble of you. It's not noble. It's self-preservation. I can't keep torturing myself, loving someone who won't choose me. So I'm choosing myself instead. After Jake left, I sat in the coffee shop for a long time, processing everything he told me. Ryan had been trapped, forced to choose between his identity and his family. And he'd chosen his family, chosen the path of least resistance. Could I really blame him for that? But at the same time, he'd built our marriage on that foundation of hiding. And now that Jake had reappeared, all of Ryan's suppressed feelings had come rushing back. I drove back to Marissa's and found Ryan waiting outside. Marissa called me, told me you were here. I needed to see you. Jake told you he's leaving?
Yeah, he told me an hour ago. Lena, we need to talk. Fine, let's talk. We went to a park nearby and sat on a bench overlooking a pond. Jake told me about your parents, I said, about how they threatened to disown you. Ryan nodded. I never told you that part. I was ashamed. Why? Because I chose money and family approval over being true to myself. Because I was a coward. You were young and scared. That's not the same as being a coward. Maybe, but it set me on a path where I buried who I really was and tried to be who everyone wanted me to be. Including me? No, you never asked me to be anyone other than myself, but I was so deep in the closet by the time I met you that I'd almost convinced myself I was straight. Or at least straight enough. Are you gay, Ryan? Be honest with me. He took a deep breath. I don't know. I'm attracted to women. I'm attracted to men. I think I'm bisexual, but I've never really let myself explore that part of me. Because of your parents. Because of a lot of things. Fear, shame, societal pressure, all of it. Do you love me? Yes, completely. You're the best thing in my life, Lena. But you also love Jake. I love who Jake represents. Freedom, the ability to be myself without hiding. But the person I love, the person I want to build a life with, that's you. How can I believe that when you couldn't choose me? Because I'm choosing you now. I'm telling you that I want to make this marriage work. I want to go to therapy, figure out my identity, be honest with you about everything. I want to be the husband you deserve. What if being honest means admitting you're not meant to be with a woman? Then we'll deal with that if it happens. But I don't think that's the case. I think I've been struggling because I've been hiding part of myself from everyone, including you, and that makes intimacy impossible. I looked at Ryan, my husband of 7 years, the man I'd built a life with, and tried to see him clearly for the first time. I need you to do something for me, I said. Anything. I need you to tell your parents about your sexuality, about Jake, about everything. Ryan paled. Lena, if we're going to save this marriage, it has to be built on truth, not hiding. And that means you need to stop hiding who you are from your family. They'll disown me. Maybe they'll surprise you. But either way, you need to know where they stand. You can't keep living your life based on fear of what they might do. What if I lose them? Then you'll have me, if you want me. Ryan took my hands. I want you. I want us. I'll tell them. This weekend. That weekend, Ryan drove to his parents' house in Colorado Springs. I stayed home, anxiously waiting for his call. It came 3 hours later. How did it go? I asked. About as well as I expected. His voice was thick, like he'd been crying. My dad said I'm not his son anymore, that I'm going to hell. My mom cried and said she'd pray for me. I'm so sorry, Ryan. No, you were right. I needed to do this. I needed to stop letting their disapproval control my life. What happens now? Now I come home to you. If you'll still have me, come home.
Ryan came home that night, and we talked until 3 a.m. Really talked, for the first time in months, about his sexuality, his fears, his love for me, his feelings for Jake, all of it. I want to try couples therapy, I said, and I think you should do individual therapy too, to work through all of this. Agreed. And no more secrets. If you're struggling, if you're having feelings for someone else, if you're questioning our marriage, you tell me. You don't hide it. I promise. And Jake is really leaving. Yeah, he left this morning. Drove to Seattle. Did you say goodbye? Yeah. We talked for a while. He told me he hoped I can be happy. And he said... Ryan's voice caught. He said I need to let go of who I was in college and embrace who I am now, which includes being your husband. He really said that? Yeah. I think he knew I needed to hear it. 2 years later, Ryan and I were in a very different place. Therapy had been hard, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about our marriage, our communication, our expectations. But it had also brought us closer. Ryan had come out as bisexual to our friends, though his parents still weren't speaking to him. He'd found a support group for bi men and had started being more open about that part of his identity. And our marriage had improved. Not overnight and not without work, but slowly we'd rebuilt trust and intimacy. We learned that Ryan's attraction to Jake hadn't been just about Jake. It had been about what Jake represented: freedom from hiding, acceptance of all parts of himself. Do you ever talk to him? I asked Ryan one night as we were getting ready for bed. Who, Jake? Yeah. Sometimes. He texts on my birthday. I text on his. He seems happy in Seattle. He's dating someone, actually. That's good. Yeah. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for us, too. Me, too. Thank you for not giving up on me. On us. Thank you for being honest. Finally. I should have been honest from the beginning. Maybe, but sometimes people need to take the long way around to get where they're supposed to be.
You're very forgiving. I'm very in love with you. There's a difference. He kissed me, and I kissed him back. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely secure in my marriage. Jake moving in almost destroyed us, but in a strange way, it had also saved us. It had forced Ryan to confront who he really was, and it had forced me to decide if I could love all of him, not just the parts he'd been showing me. And I could. I did. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was honest now, and that made all the difference.
3 years after Jake had moved out, I got a wedding invitation in the mail. Jake Morrison and David Chin were getting married in Seattle. "Did you get one too?" I asked Ryan when I showed him the invitation. "Yeah, this morning. Are you okay with us going? Are you going to be okay seeing Jake get married?" "I think so. It's been 3 years. I'm over him, Lena, I promise." "I know, but that doesn't mean it won't be weird." Everything with Jake was weird. This is just one more weird chapter. We went to the wedding. Jake looked happy, genuinely happy, with a man who clearly adored him, and Ryan stood next to me holding my hand, and I could feel that he was content. At the reception, Jake found us. "I'm glad you guys came," he said. "It means a lot." "We wouldn't have missed it," I said, and surprised myself by meaning it. "How are things with you two?" "Good," Ryan said. "Really good." "I'm glad. You deserve to be happy." Jake looked at me. "Both of you." After Jake walked away, Ryan put his arm around me. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Staying with me after everything?" "No." "Do you regret telling your parents?" "No. It cost me my relationship with them, but it gave me the ability to be myself, and that's worth it." "Even though they still won't talk to you?" "Even though. I can't control their choices. I can only control mine. And I choose you. Every day, I choose you." "Good, because I choose you too." We danced at Jake's wedding, surrounded by people who'd found their own versions of happiness. And I realized that sometimes the path to a good marriage isn't straight. Sometimes it winds through unexpected places, including the guest room where your husband's ex-boyfriend lived for 3 months. But if you can survive that, if you can work through the hurt and betrayal and confusion, you might end up with something stronger than what you started with. We did. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.